As entrepreneurs, we all have a reason why we chose to leave our 9 to 5 for an 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'm here to capture those stories of why we all hustle and grind for our companies. Tom Bartholomew is a roofing industry veteran turned digital marketing entrepreneur. With over 20 years of hands-on experience building successful roofing businesses, Tom knows what it takes to thrive in the construction world. Now, he's leveraging his expertise to help other roofers succeed online through roofingoptimize.com, a specialized marketing agency he founded. Tom's unique blend of practical knowledge and digital marketing skills makes him a trusted advisor for roofing companies looking to grow. So, Tom, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I really, really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Honored.
Awesome. Well, let's just start off. You have an interesting niche that not a lot of people would think about, but as soon as you say what you do, it's going to make sense. So I think, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's your ninja skill?
Yeah, so I do marketing, full service marketing for roofing contractors. And the reason I chose, people always say to me, they go, that's a really weird niche. Why are you only marketing to roofing contractors? Well, I believe in niches for one, because the riches are in the niches. We hear this, these kind of sayings and whatnot, but I believe it's true because then you become an expert at that one thing. And I was a builder. The reason I do roofing contractors is I was a licensed builder. I got my builder's license when I was 19 years old. This is back in the 90s. My dad was a carpenter, so it just seemed like, a great fit. Him and we ran a exterior remodeling company, and a majority of our projects were roofing projects. So once my dad decided to retire, I kind of went into a different industry for a while. I was in the resort industry as a senior manager. And then in 2020, I decided, you know what, I'm tired of the working every weekend and holiday, because that's how resorts are. You work every weekend and holiday, especially when you're the boss. And I had about 100 employees, and I was just at my wit's end at the time. And I said, one thing that I've always loved doing is building websites. I built my first website in 1999. So in 2020, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of the resort industry being, doing this. I resigned and I started my own company building websites for contractors. So I did that for a few years working for contractors. It was a good fit. But then, just like when I was a contractor, majority of my websites were roofing projects, roofing websites. So I decided and just recently rebranded. I was Bartholomew Media Group is what I called my company. But now recently I rebranded to Roofing Optimize, which means that now I work for just roofing contractors.
Interesting. And it's a niche you'd never think about, but really everyone needs a roof. I mean, it's a great niche to be in. And I do agree with you totally about the riches are in the niches, that getting into that one specific thing, like I probably would be willing to bet money that there is not many other people in the roofing marketing industry specifically. It's probably not a thing.
Well, you'd be surprised. I didn't realize it. I did it because that was where most of my projects were coming from. But once I started and rebranded and really started focusing on roofing companies, I realized that it's probably one of the most oversaturated markets for marketing companies.
Now, are you talking just roofing, or is it like
Yes.
construction and everything included?
Just roofing.
Interesting.
It's oversaturated in the industry of roofing is an oversaturated market. There are a lot of roofers.
Yeah.
And because of that, there's a lot of people that target roofers. So it's a very, very competitive niche.
Interesting. See, I never would have thought that at all.
I didn't either.
Yeah. Huh. But so now roofing, I know you started in construction. How did you get into actually specifically roofing? Like, is this just something you liked? You really loved roofs?
Actually, roofing was one of my least favorite projects. My dad and we did a lot of vinyl siding, windows and door replacement, decks, exterior remodeling. And we tried not doing roofing because it's backbreaking work. It's hard. It's hard on your tools and your equipment and your clothes, your body. It's hard on everything. But as a business, a lot of the calls coming in were for roofing projects. So of course, you expand and you do that, right? If you're getting 75% of your calls are for a roofing project, well, you're going to do roofs. So we ended up, our exterior remodeling turned into a majority roofing company because of that reason. That's where the business was.
Interesting. Now, you said that there's a lot of folks in the roofing marketing industry. What is your, usually in a situation like that, you become really good at some specific thing, or you've got a secret sauce that just makes you, stand out above the competitors. And what do you have as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, you do. You have to stand out, especially in any industry. In fact, one of the things that I always tell my roofing customers is people do business, and we've all heard this, that with people they know, like, and trust. But there's one more that we forget about, the fourth one. Remember. People must remember you. They can know, like, and trust you all day long, but if they don't remember you when they're ready to get their roof fixed, then they're going to just call whoever they find in Google. So you have to remember. But what makes me different, I think, is because I actually worked in the industry. So I lean on that heavily. I was a roofer, not just for a year or 20 years I was up on roofs. So, that's something that I really kind of lean on. I'm one of you. I'm a roofer. I was up there hucking shingles up on my shoulder up the ladder. And so I think that that's what really that I lean on heavily. I also do a lot of search engine optimization. That's pretty much my specialty.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's one thing as well, where you get a marketing agency, maybe some of these marketing agencies are like, I'm marketing, but I've never done what you've done. And they can get a general idea what it is. But if it's, buy roofers for roofers or any industry that you're in, you have a specialized knowledge of what the issues are, what the pain points are. Every objection, and like 4 objections the client doesn't know, it hasn't gotten to yet. Everything about this, how to do, because roofs are expensive, how to handle the cost objections and various things like that. And I think it's really important that you're not just a marketer, you're an expert in roofing. And I think that's something that really kind of sets. So I like that a lot. I like
Yeah, and
people to take that expertise and kind of tweak it into something slightly different and still serve people for it.
yeah, and I think that it builds trust a lot faster because I was in the industry. Because I think a lot of customers I've worked with, they said, I tried this roof, I've tried this marketing company and this marketing company, but they just didn't understand the roofing business. They didn't understand. They were sending us leads that weren't very good. So that's where I think it helps build trust, because I was in the industry, because I understand what type of leads that they're looking for. And every business is unique. It's not like I just think of them all as cookie cutter roofing companies. Everyone's unique, and they all need different things. They need different types of leads, and they need different types of marketing. And so I make sure I get to know them very well in the very beginning, so I understand what their business process and what their business goals are.
Because you may be working with different clients where it's, somebody who just needs to have their roof replaced, or somebody else who's having it replaced under insurance, and how to navigate those systems and kind of stuff like that. I figured it might be a thing. Here, I'm in Buffalo, New York, and all of our houses, our stock is average 1850 is when they were built. And so it's like just totally different worlds. That's kind of an interesting part. But like a standard marketer wouldn't understand, some of the difficulties with a roof that old. They wouldn't understand some of the like what the different levels are, I guess.
Sure.
Could just tear off the shingles or actually take everything down to the studs. And there's, from what I hear, a whole bunch. I usually leave that to the experts as far as roofing.
More than likely, if it was built in 1850, it has probably multiple layers of asphalt, rolled roofing, and then probably at the very bottom it has a layer of cedar shake shingles. That would be my guess, because I've had to tear those off before with 4 layers of rolled roofing and asphalt, and then the cedar shake at the bottom, and it's never fun. But I'm sure that that's what your houses in your area have.
Absolutely, they do. Yep. If it hasn't been removed by this point, because after this, after what, almost 160 years, it's been removed. Sometimes it's been removed, but yeah, it's a thing. It's sort of and they're real steep, because we're in a snow belt, so they're super steep, and it just takes forever to do.
Okay.
Yeah, they're beautiful buildings, but interesting. So now, when you first engage a client, like what besides, building trust is something that's going to be easy for you. Like, what do you do? How do you get involved with a client?
Well, are you talking about pre or post sale?
I would say
different.
Post, I would say.
So I've sold them. They're bought in. pay the money, sign the contract. What I do, I give them a roadmap. So each individual customer, company, roofing company, they get their own roadmap because they're going to be getting different services. So I lay out very specifically what's going to happen in week one, what's to expect in week two, what to expect in week three. And I do this for transparency because I want them to, and accountability, of course. I always work best under deadline, right? So, but really it's that transparency because a lot of times people, and I hear this from when I first start talking to people, is they say, I don't know what my marketer was doing. I don't know what my SEO guy was doing. I paid him every month, and he sent me a report, but I don't know what he was doing. So I try to be as transparent as possible. I show you what's going to happen. Once it happens, I show you that I did it. So I over communicate for the first week. I only take on one new customer, onboard one new customer company per week at the most, because I want them to have my full attention. I want to be able to, just give them the best experience to start, make sure they understand everything that's going on. I've answered every question. They've answered all my questions because I have a lot of questions as well when we first get started. But I just try to make it, a real great onboarding, very personable, and I over communicate. In fact, sometimes too much.
I don't think that's a bad thing as far as a small company is concerned. Sometimes, we need to have our hands held, especially if we're starting to build that relationship. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of over communicating at first, just to make sure that people kind of know this is what to expect. This is what we're doing. And I think that's something that with marketers, we kind of understand what marketing is, but we don't as this sort of nebulous 50,000-foot view, but we don't understand what the day-to-day is going to be. Like you said, I've had the same situation too with marketers where it's like, okay, great. I'm going to do what you tell me. I have no idea why we're doing it, but okay, we're going to do that, and it, for me, it left me with this feeling of, I like to at least have a minimum level of knowledge, like a basic functional knowledge of every part of my company. And it left me feeling like that didn't work. That wasn't a thing where, I couldn't make a decision because I didn't have enough information on it. So I think that's admirable to do that. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, man. So now as far as, the marketing side of things, had a question in my head there just a second ago here. Let's see if it comes back. So you onboard them that first week, you have that kind of real hand holding. You really talk, just that communication side of things. What else? Like, what are the things as far as a small business? Let's say that I'm a new brand or roofer. I'm trying to build my company. It's been going pretty well so far. I've been working 100% of referrals. I'm kind of getting there. But I want to move to the next level. I guess what I'd like you to do is explain to that person when they should think about getting a marketer, when it would make sense, when it would make some value for them, and how do they select one? Because I think that's a huge issue, as well as there's so many people out there. Who do I go to?
Sure. I think that the first part of your question, when should they hire someone? I think in the beginning, I think it's good to do some of your own marketing, go through some of the steps, just so you know kind of what it is, maybe the difficulty level of how it is. But I think you should hire someone whenever you feel that the time is right. When you don't understand it, if you're working on your website, like I said, try it, give it a try in the beginning. But if you're working on it, you're going, I just don't have time for this. Because that's what most roofing contractors, they wear a lot of hats, right? They're the salesman, and then they're the estimator, and then they're the material. They're ordering all the materials, and they're putting the roof on, and so they're doing a lot of stuff. And a lot of times it's not that they can't build a website or they can't run a Google ad campaign. It's that they don't have the time to really learn it. And that's when So if you're first starting out and you don't really have a lot of jobs, take that time to maybe learn some of the marketing. But it's when you don't have the time to learn how to do it and do it properly, that's when you should hire a marketing company. And then the second part of your question on who should they hire? Well, the first thing you should do is ask for recommendations from other companies that you know and respect. You probably know another roofer or a big company. Find out who they're using for marketing, or maybe go online and do a Google search and start researching. Make sure they have, a good review profile in a couple places, not just Google, but also maybe on Yelp or on, like, Bark is a web design where they can get reviews, or Clutch, or there's a lot of different places where web designers and marketers can get reviews. So make sure you're looking at all the different platforms, and then just talk to them, ask them questions, write down some questions and ask them. But I would also recommend against getting just a generalist marketer that works for everyone. Find somebody, if you're in construction, and even if you're in roofing, find somebody that's either a predominantly roofing marketer, somebody that works with contractors, because they're going to understand your business better. And they're like me, I work with roofing companies, like we've already determined, and I do that every day. So every day I'm running ads for roofers, I'm doing SEO for roofing companies. So when I bring you on, it's not like it's a brand new thing that I have to learn. I'm already doing it. My hands are in it. I know what's working right now.
And it's one of the, like we said at the beginning, the riches are in the niches, and those are the people that doesn't just work for, people like yourself who work only in, you've niched into this one very specific market. It's also for the other side of it too, is just finding somebody that specializes. That was something a mentor of mine said years ago to me. I was having trouble with marketing, and he's like, look, you need to specialize in something very specifically. And he's an expert at marketing. He's built a number of very, very large companies. And he's like, yeah, get a specialist. You're not going to have everyone. Get an Instagram person, get somebody who knows your market, get somebody who knows this. So I can definitely resonate with that. That's a very, 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 very true, I think, of any aspect of your company. So even with like bookkeeping, I want somebody that has a general idea what I do. I want an accountant that knows what I do, things like that. So that makes a hell of a lot of sense.
And even in the roofing industry, don't try to do every type of roofing, and commercial and residential and flat and metal and ash. Pick one or two and become the experts of that. Be the expert at metal roofing. Be the expert at commercial roofing. Whatever it is, that the more you narrow it down, because I get that a lot with roofing contractors, and new ones especially, they want to do everything. I want to do everything for everybody. Well, that's hard to do and be good at it. So I even have to coach sometimes my customers and get them to niche down as well into one or two different facets of the industry.
Just from my limited experience in roofing, I know I was a part of a board that had to replace a slate roof, and there is very different criteria for replacing a slate roof than there is an asphalt shingle roof. There's also a major price difference, but understanding that there's differences in each part. So absolutely, man. Yeah, perfect, awesome. So now, one of the things when somebody's engaging, we're agencies, we understand that there are some clients that fit really well with us and others that are a little bit more difficult, like trying to get the communication down, either because they don't really understand what we're doing, or just something there that's blocking communication. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you is, if you had your perfect ideal client, what questions would they ask? What would they want to know? What metrics would they want to know? Can you describe what they would ask? So that way, then people that might have that communication issue or communication barriers will know, okay, I need to learn more about this specific key performance indicator or stuff like that. Like, what would you tell a person to say, this is what I want in my perfect client?
I've never really thought about my perfect client other than, a roofing contractor. I typically work with them that are doing, 750,000 in revenue and up a lot of times. So they've already kind of have KPIs. They kind of understand. I like businesses that already have some measure of success, right? Yeah. But what you should ask is, have you worked in my industry? I mean, first and foremost, and then get examples. Like, if you come and ask me that, I'm going to show you, here's 50 websites I've built for roofing companies, right? Here's some metrics of Google ads that I've run for roofing companies. I can show you what I've done. So you want to see it, not just have them tell you, but have them give you verified examples of their work. So that's a great question, just to know that. Another thing you could ask them, are they doing the work themselves? Do they have a team? Are they outsourcing it to freelancers? And if they are using freelancers, are they using the same freelancer over and over? Or are they just picking random freelancers? Because that can make a difference as well. Nothing against freelancers. I hire freelancers as well, but I hire the same ones on a repeated basis because I found that they understand the industry as well. They produce results, they're very knowledgeable about it. So that's who I work with on a repeated basis. I use the same freelancers. But you want to understand that when you're talking to an agency, are they using an in-house team? Are they using freelancers? Who are they using? Or maybe they're doing it all themselves. I do a lot of work myself, but find out who is actually doing the work. And not that any of those are bad. Freelancers are good, in-house teams are good, working by yourself is good. You just want to make sure you understand how your marketing is getting produced.
Exactly. I use freelancers as well. And I believe I have a business degree, and that's one of the things they taught us was a contingent workforce, because it's such a large part of the workforce right now. Instead of hiring somebody in-house, you get to try it before you buy it. So I work with a freelancer on one project. I see if we're a good fit. It doesn't mean they're like good or bad at what they do. It's just, I want to see if you're a fit for my company. If we are, we keep working with the same person, because I like to know it, and we can they can take on other clients. I think it's a lot easier for me as a company. I may hire people in-house if the volume gets high enough, but frankly right now freelancers are great. Yeah, I think it's a very valid it doesn't necessarily mean that they're cheaping on something. It doesn't mean that they're trying not to hire an employee. It doesn't mean anything negative. It's just, this is a business model people don't really think about. So awesome. Well, as we come to the end of things here, I do want to ask you one question. What is a book or a podcast that has really had a major impact on your life?
It was when I was working as a senior manager, I read this book, and it really changed my mindset on leadership. Because I had about 100 employees at the time, and it's called The Servant, and it's written by James C. Hunter. He's a best-selling author. He's got 3 books now. I've read all 3 of them, but the first one that I read was The Servant, and it's a it's a parable, and he wrote it. I live in northern Michigan, and that's what he wrote, the parable about this guy going to a trip to northern Michigan and learning about servant leadership. And so it's a great book, and it really, like I said, it changed my whole idea about leadership and personal development.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I really, really appreciate you being here.
Hey, thank you so much, Andrew. I appreciate being on. It's been an honor.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks again for joining us on the Hustle and Grind podcast. If you'd like to learn more about Tom, check out the link in the description.